always we have to keep in mind what we want our student to like master on a specific task. This is our first step. See it. We won't know the gap unless visualize the bar. So basically, there is a kind of assessment piece, an item. Then you know the standard. What what the standard is this task assessing. And we have, I don't know you guys if you are familiar with like a no-show chart, but if you don't, you can look at your handout. It's on the second page. There is a no-show chart. No-show chart means when you have a task for our student, what must the student know to be successful on this task? In other words, you think about key points. Okay, I'll show you example later to like make it more concrete and more related to the thing. So, and for show part, this is more like a checklist that you, in your mind, you like come up with kind of criteria for success and what should our students show to be successful on a task. And this is more like a checklist of what student should be writing or speaking in the real kind of life. So when they are doing this task, that's that. And I give you an example of mine. So the prompt is, this is a unit 3 free response. So students are asked to describe a recent visit to a friend's house and write about what they did, what they ate and drank, and what who they met, and what time they arrived and what time they left. This is basically a kind of an essay about their event happened in the past. So at this moment, students toward the level 2, toward this end of this first semester, their level, we should push them or they're arriving intermediate to low. And the standard, this is actual can-do statements. So I can write about people, activity, events, and experience. Very kind of a general, right? So we have to, with this in mind, but we have to go into the very specific thing we want our student to master based on the assessment item. So the know is they have to know how to use past tense, the Chinese kind of past tense. And they have to know the correct word order, which is totally different from the English word order. And they have to know the vocabulary about visiting friends. Okay, that's a know, like key points. And when it comes to show part, student, we have kind of a checklist for them. So past tense, when they're writing, responding to this prompt, they have to know this past tense marker. So you have to see it placed in the right place, like after the action verbs. That's the first item for show part. And then they have to write in the correct word order. Show, they know subject, time, place, verb, like then past tense marker, and then object if there is object. That's the word order we're looking for to see if they are struggling with this or they master this already. And the last part, in terms of a vocabulary, this is a checklist. They should know food, activities, hobby, like vocab, activity vocab, and also time expressions, because it has this kind of information you have to show on the task. So this is kind of show part. Now, I want you guys to take 2 minutes and take out everyone, I believe, brought some writing samples from your recent assessment. So let's just take out that thing and individually, like independently, you just write out the standard and also focus on the no-show part. Fill out the no-show chart. Let's take 2 minutes and let's do this. You have to, yes, it's on the second page of the handout. If you guys can take out and think independently first, then we're gonna have some sharing time later.
不用，你可以 pause。
So they're very nice, and this is something I want to bring up a little bit here for the no-show chart. So usually when I'm doing this, I am doing a no-show chart before I give the test or assessment. And the thing is, when I see student examples, the student writing sample, or sometimes when do the speaking, and I find some students like high achievers, they do even like better or more things than my no-show chart, and I will add additional kind of a piece of information for like show part. So that's make my no-show kind of a more comprehensive, and if this happens to you, since we all have student samples over here, then we can just add additional items in there. So it's kind of we and our student, we cooperate each other on this part, but in the real life you're gonna do this first, and then when we go into the name it and do it part, we can always go back to this chart and add additional items to the chart. Okay, so let's take maybe 1 minute with your Apple partner to share the no-show chart, and then you discuss a little bit to see if your partner, have any feedback or additional kind of insights for you. Okay, let's do this 1 minute. Let's come back together, and okay, thank you guys for discussion participation. So when now everyone visualize the bar for this assessment item, and the next step is to name it, and we must name the specific gap to effectively plan the reteach. So this is nothing like complicated. This step consists of these 3 pieces of protocol. So first of all, you are going to review student work samples, and you make notes of any trends in what students are missing. So basically, it's like for today's PD, it's a little bit different from in actual life. In actual life, you don't have your sample sorted high, mid, and low. You are just going over student work by student work, right? So this is also add a little bit kind of a challenge for you. So you have to take notes. You have to like brainstorm and you organize your notes afterwards. But today we have easy task to do. So you guys are going to like go over the student samples. So each of you brought like 9 samples, 3 high, 3 mid, and 3 low. So we start from the high student work, and then we go over all the way to the low ones, and then you make notes and you just find the trending mistakes. Then you make connections. Basically, you just compare your no-show chart, what student must know and what must show to be successful on the task, and then you with the student like common mistakes, common understandings. Then you can just find the trending gap. The last step you should do for this a piece of protocol is like you have to write out in words what the gap is specifically. So students are struggling with word order, especially time. They always put in the end like they do in English. So this is something you are specific about here. And please use some of the language from your no-show chart. So you just like what they miss. 3 pieces of information they have to include. What's the like information they are missing most? You just put there. So be explicit. And I know it's a little bit kind of abstract. I'll show you a video. This is a data meeting between a teacher and her dean. And I'm going to show you from the see it to name it, these 2 steps. And this is a data meeting took place in the spring 2, like unit 2-ish time frame. And they are discussing assessment, which is this. It's a science class, and it's a chemistry lesson. So you don't have to really know what it is. Let's just pay attention to how they do it and what kind of like topics they are covering in this data meeting. And this data meeting, hopefully from next semester on, you can have on a kind of a regular basis with your dean. And then when you finish this data meeting, you can like invite your dean to come to see your reteach in action. It's gonna be like powerful, I believe, if we plan this carefully, like we're doing today. So you have the handout, like 2 pages. If we can just, make a quality work today, then next semester, like beginning of the semester, you can already use this reteach plan to do it. Okay, so let's just watch maybe 3 minutes here and start from there. And when you are watching it, I hope you guys just think like different steps, see it, name it, how they do it, and if you have any questions, please jot it down, and we'll just discuss your questions and maybe clarify something with you before we dive into details. Okay.
Okay, so today we're going to dive into some TEKS in 8.5 BMC and the assessment item that you shared. A researcher wants to experiment with an element that reacts like phosphorus but has a greater atomic mass, and they can justify a claim about which element they should choose. So let's take a minute just to jot down what you think students should know and show to be successful on this prompt.
No-show chart.
Okay, what are some of the things you have?
They need to know what phosphorus is. They need to know that to get reactivity, they're going to need to look for a group.
Okay. And then how about show?
They need to show how to find it on the periodic table.
What about their written response?
Yeah, they should have 3 complete sentences. And in particular, to get credit, their claim has to be a complete sentence.
Or like explain that their element has a higher mass. Yeah. No. Okay. Right, so now let's look at the student work. The first page represents some of the highest samples, and then we have kind of some of the medium samples. And then the last page are the samples where they either chose like their element was incorrect.
Okay.
But the middle, the medium, they chose the correct one, but their CER could have been more developed than what the highest group probably needed. Now let's go ahead and look at the medium and low samples and try to identify any gaps or misconceptions that we notice.
Okay, this is a named part, so that identify the gaps.
So let's try to get more specific and look up here to know and show. Like, what do you feel like we can identify as the main misconception or gap here that we would want to address?
Yeah, let's see. What is it? Second to the bottom, right? Or like the idea that they're the connection, and it's also like something that we did I identify it? Like the idea of complete evidence.
I think it's kind of like having both of these,
Right?
Like having evidence for like both criteria.
Yeah, I think and so. Like in general, the idea that like there can be more than one piece of evidence, right?
Yeah. Okay. And then also the groups.
The specific gap identified in the trend, and they just write it out using the language from the
Okay. So knowing that that's what we want to address, are you thinking
reteach? Okay, we're gonna talk about the reteach part later. Now, it's your time with your planning partner, we're gonna do a practice. Name it. Let's practice this step. Basically, you are going to, with your partner, you go through the process I just showed you. You name it, already have the no-show chart, right? And then you just go over the samples and to see if there is additional things you want to add to your no-show chart with your partner. And you guys, the most focus will be just to talk about the gap, the trending mistakes in your student sample with your partner. And basically, we're gonna do one teacher's assessment task, and then we switch to the other teacher's work. So you're gonna have 10 for each task. we're gonna just do name it part, and please talk through the whole process to get yourself familiarized with this. Okay, so if you have questions, I'm here, and we have Leticia and Parker. They can help with content-specific, questions. Okay, go. Really great discussions and see great cooperations among teachers. And before we move on, I'd like you guys to share some of the kind of takeaways from either the kind of a PD I gave you so far, or when you are practicing CN name it steps. If you have any thoughts, any things, insights you want to share with us, okay? And can I have someone from our Spanish 1 table over there, and then we do one teacher from this table to share. Okay? So anyone from there? Francisco?
Sure. So something that we were talking about was kind of like a balance of having like the expectations for the writing versus what they can actually produce. Because for instance, like we see sometimes like a lot of blocks of text, and we're sure that like in their English classes, they're encouraged to break things down into paragraphs and to have like a certain punctuation. So I think it would be interesting for us to talk about ways that we can incorporate some of that structure to help them become more confident writers, but at the same time knowing that we, our main focus is teaching them the vocabulary and the way to communicate.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I had the same problem with my student as well. I'd like to share with you guys. All the time we say, oh, this is a vocab, and we practice a lot, and then we did a lot of grammar, instruction as well. But when it comes to writing or free response part, and you always have something, you didn't expect it to happen. Student, the punctuations way off, and then they have to write a multi-paragraph thing, but they only wrote everything in one paragraph. The structure is not good, and this is sometimes in no-show chart we didn't even write it down. But when we see student samples and we oh, this is something I really need to, because it's not like one student, two students. It's not like scattered happenings in the classroom. It's like maybe more than half of the students, they didn't even get this convention. And sometimes, Francisco mentioned, we don't know how much time we need to spend on that, because we have very strict and rigorous curriculum we have to follow, and we have to find ways creatively, keep thinking how to incorporate those kind of ELA thing into, because language, they are connected, related. When I taught my student this kind of a past tense things, and because our past tense marker is closely related to the knowledge of if they know what is non-action verb and action verb, because for the non-action verb you don't add this marker after that. But if students have no idea what is action verb, what is non-action verb, then they don't even know how to use this grammar appropriately in the paragraph. So I really appreciate you bring this up, and yeah.
Well,
Taylor.
just to say something about the test.
Mhm.
I think it also deals with how the test is set up, because for the Spanish 1 test, it's line by line, right, word by word. So students don't know to separate it, because it also does a word count. So it's just do I separate my paragraphs, but is it gonna mess with my word count as well?
That's great. That's a great observation. So I believe this is we have to let students know, because the structure is a structure. When you go into the real world, when you are using this to communicate with people, you can never write something in one paragraph that. So that when we're grading, the format of the test, it gives you those little lines and numbers, and the student, when they're testing that in testing mode, it's not like a communicative mode, right? But we can give them a quick reminder saying that, okay, if you need to start a new paragraph, start a new paragraph. So the word count is not they're missing maybe 10 words in this line. That's fine. You still can have approximate, word count in the end. But I think the right way should be put in priority. So we should teach them the right way. So yeah, very good. Anyone else want to share anything from this activity and so far?
Sure.
Great.
We had a
For us to easily grade it fairly, but also it's easy for students to make corrections and they know, and we ultimately will want our student to be aware, okay, this is the misunderstanding you had and you have to, fix it by yourself, right? Through our instruction. Then if you have those, bullet points laid out, then student is easy to like have this idea, okay, I missed this point, and they can just, have a better idea when you address the gap in the class. I think that's great. So thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Oh, I have a question. Were we supposed
Thank you, everyone, for sharing your insights, opinions, ideas, and I really learned a lot from you guys as well. So now, when we have see it, we have the no-show chart, and we identify the gaps, and then we know what we should reteach. Then it comes to the real thing, how to teach it, how to reteach, how to plan it, how to commit to reteach. So data is meaningless without action. Now, do it step. This is a big one. This is a one that you jump into the action, right? And the first thing we need to do is we decide which method we use to teach. There are a lot of methods, but here I just want to introduce two most powerful and effective methods to you guys when you plan your reteach. One is called guided discourse. The other one is called model. What is guided discourse? So I have all these there, so it's not that complicated. Basically, guided discourse is guided student conversation. You can use it when some students struggles with something. It's not like the whole class are struggling to have 1/3 or half students struggling. You do have exemplar from student. You do have high achievers, got it, did it beautifully. Then we have we use this. I think this one is a better method for reteaching. So you lay out an exemplar. It could be your high students' work, or it could be your teacher's student work exemplar. And you also show them another one which is incorrect or unsatisfactory. Like we have 5s, 4s, 3s, 2s, 1s. You can show 5, and then you can show maybe a 3 or even a 2. 1 usually, does not really have that much information in there, right? So you lay them together and you drive students to talk through the example. What did this student do? Okay, what are the goals here? And then you have the no-show chart, and also we just mentioned if student can have some the bullet points like checklist for the task, and then they can just, oh, she did this, she did past tense markers throughout the whole paragraph and used all the non-action action verbs and didn't use it on the non-action verbs. Then you can just guide them to have this kind of conversation. And also when students do this kind of discussion, they use their own way, own words to say the grammar points, to say the vocabulary, and it stick to their mind longer than that we just tell them. Okay, and then you can guide students to look at the incorrect response or unsatisfactory, student work, and say, do you agree or disagree with this answer, and what are the errors, and why you agree with it, why you disagree with it. So you just ask this kind of guiding questions, and just make sure all the students are looking at sentence by sentence and find the gaps by themselves. And when they notice it, when they have this kind of discussion with their peers, with the teacher, then this information will stick on their mind longer than, again, then we just teach them. And they sometimes even ask you, okay, this is great, write down in your notes. And you can give this kind of instruction and ask them to do it, especially for the lower level. Sometimes they need this kind of a prompt. So this is important. Okay, bold it or highlight it. So this is the guided discourse. Do you have any questions about this? So I think this is pretty cool, and I like it. And for the exemplar and incorrect responses, usually you have to do it like carefully because you don't want everyone can recognize like this student. Oh, that's him. Like Carlos, you did a bad job on that, and laugh it. So before you establish a very positive class environment, be cautious about showing the. You can type it out so that nobody can like really realize, and even the student who was chosen cannot like realize, oh, that's his work. But you can just show them, this and original copy, or you can just type it out. Okay. And model. This is another method. It's very powerful when most of the students are struggling with assessment iron. So how to model it? It's not like modeling the whole thing. Like you wrote an essay and you want to reteach some of the things in the essay. I know there might be like 1,000 of things in the mistakes here and there in the essay, but you can pick some items to use this course if like most of the students got it, some like one-third student miss it. But model is for something the whole class missing. Then you just need to narrow the focus down to the struggling point. You can just walk them through, okay, we need to do beginning, and then you don't write everything there, but say, okay, this is our focus, this is our target. Okay, everybody see how I do this. And then you do it step by step, you model it, how to draft for me, my example, like sentence structure, subject, time, to applies, and, object, learn, object, that thing, then you just do a sentence with them, okay? So we just write down the structure on the top of the paper, and then you match these elements and find a vocab, do it. You do one sentence, maybe you do the second sentence to make everybody's comfortable doing their own sentences. And this is kind of a model replicable thinking steps. It's not something from my mind, and no one can really duplicate that process. You have to give them a formula. Like step 1, okay, we write the formula. Step 2, we just match the word. And step 3, we check if the sentence makes sense. Something like that. So you just model the replicable thinking steps that student can follow. And we have a focus, and we just show them step by step, very clear step by step. This is the modeling. And this works very good when most students are struggling with a specific assessment item. Okay? All right. Any questions? No. I'd like to show you the video because we saw that data meeting up to name it. Now we can see how they plan the reteach. They chose a method and they talk through how to reteach. Okay.
Okay, so today we're going to dive into some teach.
You need to move your mouse
Yeah.
to the, yeah, right.
Wondering about guided discourse on this one because most kids get the concept, and I think they could probably see that, like, if I put these two kiddos up, they could probably spot, like, oh, that is a stronger answer, and talk about why.
Okay, so knowing that we're going to do guided discourse, let's take a couple minutes to script out what that would look like. Okay.
Neil, thanks for your effort on completing Wednesday CER prompt. So when I was reviewing, I noticed lots of right answers, but many responses that didn't fully address all of the evidence related to what the prompt was asking. So I'm going to show you 2 student answers that have the correct content, and I want you to play spot the difference, the differences between what student A did and what student B did. In particular, I want you to underline the evidence that supports the claims that they're making.
So I think I felt clear in what I needed to do and like how you added in the part about underlying the evidence. I think 2 pieces that would make it stronger. First, to give them like a quick processing to like get them in the headspace of the prompt. Because like a couple seconds after you introduced that we were going to be doing this, they were already like jumping to the evidence, and so they can think about the prompt again, since I'm assuming it'll have been a few days since they did it. So when do you think you're going to be able to tackle this?
I'm gonna do it tomorrow.
Okay.
Ambitious.
That's it. Ambitious, yeah. Yeah, this is in real life. It could happen if it's just an exit ticket and you find something you don't even need to really talk to your dean. You can find if there will come on campus, you have a colleague who knows Spanish, right? You just went through some, go through some, process with the person, then you can just reteach. So yeah, I know ambitious, but it's we can find ways to do it. Anyways, that's that. And before we dive into how to do it in real life or with a partner, do you have any questions? If no, so we are going to practice it, implement it.
Okay, so
Right. Okay. So determine the method. This is step 3. This is a cycle. So we follow the steps over here. We first determine a method. Let's just take maybe 1 minute, talk to your partner, which method you want to use and why. Okay, I see you guys are excited to like implement and write a plan for your reteach, right? That's awesome. And next step, we are going to script it out. So based on your discussion, you determined which method you are going to use for reteach. And let's just think about how would you reteach this missing item. Then let's script out. Let's take maybe 7 to 8 minutes each table. You guys just script. I know Spanish teachers, you all have the same assessment item, so you can like individually like script out something. You can bullet point it and do a script by yourself, and then we share to see if I can learn something from you and give each other like feedbacks. Okay, let's take 7 to 8 minutes to script out your reteach lesson. Excited to see you guys are modeling the reteach for us. All right, we have Spanish 1 or Spanish 2. And Carlos, you want to go first? Yeah, I know you're ready. You got 2 claps already. You wanna show us something, or I can?
Yeah, no, but I can show you like. You want me
No.
Okay,
Thank
you. I'll connect.
Yes, this is very serious. Well prepared.
Oh, it's my campus is the one where you
Oh,
connect.
wireless?
Well, yes, it is.
Alright.
No, that. Wow.
Oh, wait.
All right, now reteach. And expectations for the audience. He's reteaching, and everyone else, you are either students or the dean. You pick a role, and we give him feedback. Okay, from student, did you get it? And the dean, you're gonna give him feedback, help him grow. Okay.
Alright. So I'm gonna give a preview before we get started. First of all, this is before I get started on the reteach. This is the process of this is to break down what students know. Part 1, part 2, part 3. So there's a breakdown of what they need to know before they show it. So that's what I'm going to reteach. Ok, clase, vamos a empezar la clase de español 2. Lo que primero que quiero que hagamos es que vean su papel y que noten lo que tenemos que hacer para la parte 1. Cuando yo estoy haciendo la parte 1, yo quiero identificar las cosas que tengo que hacer. So, yo tengo que hacer el greeting, tengo que introducirme, describirme y lo que estoy, and what I am doing in my 2 classes y lo que hice ese fin de semana. So, tomen los 30 segundos para hablar en sus mesas. ¿Cómo sería esto oralmente? Go. Ok, atrás. Mariana, ¿me puedes dar un ejemplo de cómo lo harías en tu papel, un ejemplo oral?
Querido hermano, yo soy Mariana, yo soy baja, soy morena, yo estoy en la clase de español aprendiendo de Perú, en mi clase de historia sobre los presidentes. El fin de semana pasado yo fui a un restaurante y comí comida.
Ok. Leticia, ¿de qué está aprendiendo? ¿Qué está aprendiendo Mariana en la clase de Perú?
De Perú, sobre la capital que es Lima.
Ok, y notaron que hizo cada punto, ella hizo cada punto, lo va a escribir aquí ahora. So, ahora van a tomar la siguiente parte para hacer la parte 2. Quiero que lo escriban en sus papeles, tienen 30 segundos. Circulating.
Yeah. We do shorten the version of the teach.
And then that's it.
Okay,
MC.
great. All right. Awesome job. Thank you, Val. Follow-up questions. Okay. What method did he use?
Yeah, reteach? I don't know.
Model. Okay, more on the model side. You can see in real like teaching, it's not like very clear guided group discourse in modeling, right? So, but this is more on the modeling side, right? So, awesome. Any feedback from student? Did you guys get the Leticia, Mariana? Did you get what he said? Can you follow his? Good, great. Great. Any feedback from deans who like put yourself in the shoes of a dean? Okay. No, good. Any like feedback that can help him do it even better? Or yeah, Francisco, great.
Perhaps you could try. So you were in the target language for most of the time, which is sarcastic. Perhaps you could do a couple of checks to make sure that everybody understood what you were saying in Spanish. A good idea is like 5, I understood everything, 1, I understood nothing. See if you.
Great. Thank you.
So I do this with my students, and for the first 10 minutes, this is their do first. This is probably the only day where they can actually come in and talk during the do first. So they know that for the first 10 minutes, they're talking, they're like working and answering all these. And then when I'm like, I'm gonna come around in 2 minutes and check part 1. I'm gonna come in 3 minutes, check part 2. And that paces me after that, and then I'm like, okay, now you know exactly what you're writing, but for the next 35 minutes, you're silently and independently working on your essay.
Awesome. So we know our students sometimes a lack of sense of urgency. This is a really great way to just hold them accountable. So give them some put a timer. That's first step, and then you check on them frequently. Give them some time frame to do this and that. Very good, nice.
And I know he didn't have time to do this, so it's not really about Carlos, but it's also a good time to give kids feedback in the moment. Like if they had made a grammatical error, it's a good time to track student responses, and it's just a simple sometimes, especially in 1 and 2, they would say yo soy bajo, but they're a girl, and you're like, oh, you're not a boy, so be careful with this.
That's great. You guys are ready to apply for the position. They're always. All right, next, Francisco. Let's welcome Francisco to give us another repeat for Spanish 1. Okay.
So, I'm going to do an activity that I like to do before I introduce anything else in class. It's called Picture Talk. The point of this activity The point of this activity is to get a lot of repetitions and a lot of interactions so that they can feel comfortable to work on their written responses.
The method is modeling or
Interactive modeling.
okay.
Sure. Let's see. Okay. So. Well, okay. Look at it from here. Okay, great.
Sure.
Okay, that's okay.
Let's
Okay.
do this.
Okay, class, you have two tasks right now. One is to listen when I speak, and the other one is to respond. What's the first task?
Listen,
The other one is to.
respond.
Okay, muy bien. Clase, yo soy señor Castro. ¿Cómo me llamo? What's my name? Okay, muy bien. Clase, yo soy bonito o yo soy feo.
Feo.
Ah, soy feo. Okay, muy bien. Yo soy feo. Okay, clase. Now, if it's you and you're talking about me, ¿vas a decir yo soy feo o él es feo?
Tú eres feo.
Oh, yo soy feo. Okay, muy bien, muy bien. Clase. Aquí yo soy alto o bajo. Alto o bajo.
Bajo.
Okay, muy bien, muy bien. Clase, y él aquí, ¿él es alto o él es bajo? Es como mediano, ¿sí? Es como mediano. Ok, sí. Clase, yo soy de República Dominicana. ¿De dónde soy yo, clase?
República Dominicana.
Ok, muy bien, muy bien. ¿Y de dónde es ella? ¿Lo sabes?
Colombia.
¿De Colombia? Ok, clase, repita. Ella es de Colombia. ¿De dónde es ella? Ah, ok, muy bien. Y yo soy de...
República Dominicana.
Habla con tu pareja y dile, yo soy de, repite, yo soy de.
Yo soy de.
¿De dónde eres tú? Responde, yo soy de. Okay, muy bien, chicos. Show me with your fingers. If you understood everything, give me a 5. If you understood nothing, give me a 1. And then we can transition to a writing activity.
It's great.
Okay.
So this is kind of a more warm up and
TPRS.
TPRS, yeah. All right, very good, nice. So, any feedback for him from students' perspective?
Oh, I
Leticia.
really like how energetic you were. Because if it was first period, I would be like awake.
Exactly. I was very impressed by Francisco's teaching because I'm next door. Always say classy, and then energize mine.
Oh, and motion.
Very nice. Yeah.
And the motion.
Yeah, very nice. And also when we're doing reteach, I think this is a little bit kind of a thing we have to add to this environment because again this thing. Then if you can just bring the energy high and keep everybody's morale high,